Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Mama Genius Hub podcast. I'm so excited that you are here. We are starting with this story. I had this dream to build something that gave me purpose, something that was mine, but somewhere between snacks, soccer practices, and back to back to do lists. That dream got quieter and quieter. I began wondering if it was even meant for anymore, if I was meant for me anymore. Maybe motherhood had taken that space. Maybe I just thought I could be content. But deep down, I kept feeling I wanted to feel like me again. Not instead of being a mom, but alongside of it. Today's guest, Jodi Hendricks, gets it. She's been there and she's had to show us how to stop waiting for permission and how to start living on purpose. We'll get started right after this. Mamas, welcome to the Mama Genius Preneur podcast, where real stories spark real transformation for moms ready to bring their vision to life. I'm Michelle DeKaiser, a mom of three, entrepreneur, and your biggest cheerleader as you navigate motherhood and your calling. If you've ever felt pulled to create something bigger, whether it's a business, a book, or a movement, but also felt the weight of daily life slowing you down, you are not alone. In just 15 minutes, we'll dive into powerful insights, strategies, and real stories for women just like you, because you don't have to build your dreams alone. Let's bring your visions to life, starting right now. And we're back with Jodi Hendricks, who's an author, speaker, and counselor dedicated to helping women overcome isolation, anxiety, and self-doubt as they navigate motherhood and personal growth. With a master's of art in counseling, she spent 2 years guiding women through emotional and spiritual healing. As the executive director of the New Mexican Family Action Movement and homeschooling mom of four, Jodi is passionate about faith, family, and empowering women to pursue God's purpose. When she's not speaking or writing, she'll find herself studying scriptures and spending time with her family. Welcome to the stage, Jodi. I'm so excited that you're here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Well, let's just dive into this concept of purpose and needing permission to do it, because I feel like that's how I felt as well, just kind of being literally like washing dishes and crying, going like, is this it?
Yes, yes. I think it's so sad that we as moms start to feel selfish for wanting a purpose outside of some of those smaller tasks. You know, I say smaller tasks, but they're really big. We're caring for our families. We're teaching them how to serve each other when we're doing the dishes. We're teaching them how to take care of themselves as we're cooking them dinner and, getting bath time done. And we're doing so much, but yet it's all focused on our kiddos and it's hard because it becomes this feeling of, am I being selfish for wanting something that feels like it's mine? And I feel like bottom line answer is no, it's not selfish because that is just yet another way for you to teach your kiddos that they have purpose and that it's okay to embrace it.
I love that so much, because I feel like it is that perspective, perpetual sense of martyrdom, because as moms, like we're like, all of a sudden we have to give up our dreams for our kids. But I always like to say, look at your daughter. Are you
Mhm.
asking that of her? Because if that's no, then you need to look in the mirror a little bit. That
I
sounds a little hard for me now.
agree. No, I absolutely agree because when we finally give ourselves permission to consider our own purpose, it's amazing how we begin to look at our children. It's amazing how we begin to find things in them that we want to inspire their purpose. And uh, I think that it's so crucial to be able to give ourselves permission to find our purpose. Because of that bigger picture. You know, I was created on purpose and for a purpose. And yes, part of that purpose is to be a mother and to raise these children in, our family values and to teach them and train them so that they will become functioning members of society. But one of the best ways to do that is by showing them, by living it out. We kind of can laugh and say, well, do as I say, not as I do, because we don't like being under that microscope of, am I really living this out? But as moms, I think we have to really challenge ourselves to live it out. I want to build up in my kids and tell them that they've got purpose, and get them to be considering and looking and discovering what their purpose might be. I have to be willing to do the same thing.
I'm writing this down now. So in that discovery and in doing that, what are some ideas or ways that you suggest for moms to identify for them what that purpose is?
I think it's so important to first recognize that a lot of times we look for our purpose in our past. We look
Mm,
to past dreams. We look to, maybe we even look at past mistakes where we have placed expectations on ourselves. And when you become a mom, especially as you have more children, right? You're still trying to be the mom right here, present with your kids, but you're living under past expectations. You're living under the ideas of past dreams. And I think one of the most profound things that I came to realize in giving myself permission to really discover my purpose was that it's okay if those dreams have changed. It's okay to let go of past expectations, because those expectations from the past, whether they were put on you by yourself or they were put on you by other people, whoever it may have been, maybe mom and dad as you were growing up, maybe past relationships, maybe best friends, maybe mentors. People put expectations on us, and we put expectations on ourselves. And our purpose, I believe, is constantly growing with us. And if we don't allow ourselves to really consider uh, fresh dreams, fresh expectations, then we're going to be stuck trying to fit a round peg into a square hole. And it's just not going to be productive. It's going to be discouraging because we're constantly going to be failing those past expectations, because our current set of circumstances, our family that we're growing, our relationships, maybe with our spouses, they're changing us. So we have to give ourselves the freedom to consider, what is the new goal? What is the new dream? What does it look like now that I am experiencing motherhood? I don't know about you, but motherhood was nothing like what I thought it would be. It has challenged me in ways I never thought possible. And
so
it's
much.
not that dreamy, you have that first baby and everything is bliss. It's work, and it's discovering each day the strengths that I do have within me to raise these little ones. And it is
Been the
the
biggest,
flexibility.
it's been the biggest mirror of my life.
Oh,
And we'll talk about that right after this.
yes.
Are you a mompreneur who feels a fire to create something bigger, a business, a movement, a message, but you don't want to do it alone? That's why I've created the Mama Genius Hub, a space where your vision is nurtured, your voice is heard, and your dreams grow alongside a supportive community. Inside the hub, you'll get bite-sized insights and strategies in 15-minute sessions. A community of like-minded moms who truly get it. Support to bring your vision to life without burnout. If you're ready to build your business and impact while staying true to yourself, join us today at connectingmamas.com. Your calling matters. Let's grow it together. We were talking about that perspective change as we became moms and just how it is the biggest mirror. And like you said, I love how you brought that up of a lot of our dreams might be in the past. And now it is that reflection of discovering what are those new dreams, which with these new reflections that come from the kids, because we are learning so much and realizing we're deliciously imperfect because
Yes.
perfection is not a thing,
Hmm.
and learning how we can support each other in their dreams. So what I really want to boil down a little bit to you is, how then do we identify what those new dreams might be? What are some ways that we could do that?
At first, giving yourself the permission to explore those new dreams. I think as moms, we feel the need to find one thing and then say, yep, that's it. I'm committed to it. I'm sticking to it. But we need to have some flexibility with ourselves. We need to be able to say, okay, this might feel like a new dream. But as I pursue it and as I kind of explore it, maybe I realize that it needs to move with me a little bit more. And that's okay. Dreams that I had back in my 20s are far different. There are threads of those dreams still remaining in what I'm doing today, but it has grown into something so much more beautiful than I could have imagined. And so I think in order to really explore this and step into it, we have to give ourselves that flexibility. We have to be willing to say, okay, that doesn't really work anymore. So let me go ahead and try something new and then be willing to try it. How are we ever going to know if this is our dream if we don't step out and
I
try
think
it?
flexibility is the key to motherhood because in terms of our purpose, in terms of everything, because we are really learning that. I will say this we are leaving for Florida tomorrow. We're driving down to Florida tomorrow because my daughter made nationals for swim.
That's
And so
great.
it's a quick thing, but I love how you're saying it because you're on purpose in yours. You're able to support them in their dreams. So get this, 7 a.m. yesterday. I know what today's. I don't even know what day it is. 2 days ago, I woke up and I was just like, she's the only one from her team going. And it's been very lonely for her. It's almost felt like a punishment. And so trying to reframe this perspective as we're looking at our own dreams and purpose as well. So at 7 a.m., I had this idea. We finally got some girls from the team to help support her and come to swim practice and, to give her that spot and stuff. And all of a sudden I was like, what if I threw them a pizza party afterwards? And this was 7 a.m. And I look back at the text. I'm like, they're all coming tonight. Let me just check. And so literally, I threw a party together in a day to celebrate her. I even made swag bags for them, and I'm going to send money to the person at Etsy that I clipped from because doing things quickly. But is that flexibility in being able to celebrate each other in your own passions and dreams? But that didn't mean I didn't do any work that day or do any of those
Right.
things. Like it is that figuring out that balance. I don't even like the word balance. I like the word rhythm better because I feel like there's
Yes.
no pressure on it. It's finding that flow as we do through as women. Balance feels so, I don't know, antagonistic to me.
Yeah, well, I think balance implies perfection, right? Because we want it perfectly balanced, and perfection is not possible. So we need to let go of that idea and embrace our imperfections. So I love that rhythm rather than balance, because really that's what it is. There's this flow, this give and take, this flexibility, and being able to recognize where we might need to focus our attention or our talents more that day than maybe on another day. And then, like you said, being willing to do the work. The fact that you said it wasn't like it didn't take me any work that day, but I did it. I pulled it off. Be willing to do the work. And I think we also have to be willing to fail. I think that a lot of times we're afraid to do the work. We're afraid to try new things or consider new dreams because we're afraid to fail. And that comes back to that perfection. And as women in this society, I think we're constantly asking that question, am I enough? Do I measure up? And if for some reason we do something that doesn't look perfect, then the answer is no, you're not enough. And so we need to just drop that. We need to recognize that for the silliness that it is and be willing to step out there and say, I might fail because it's not going to look the way I wanted it to, but maybe in fact I'm succeeding because it's not going to look the way I wanted it to.
And it's so funny that you say that in the perspective. So the one thing that did not go well that night was I didn't order enough pizza. And my daughter was panicked and my husband didn't like, and that was a thought that kept circulating in my head. Like not all the good things that happened, but it's like, oh my gosh, why didn't I fix that? Like, but it's releasing those ideas. And so I've worked on that to like release that so that we were focusing on the bright side. I am so grateful that you came on here to make sure you tell everyone how they can get a hold of you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, if you're interested in following me, the best way is to find my website. It's jodyhendricks.com. So Jody is spelled with an I, Jodi. Hendricks is spelled with a CKS, jodyhendricks.com. And there you can follow my weekly devotionals. You can see my latest book that's out and any other resources. And that'll also give you the link to follow my socials as well.
And we're going to put you backstage just for a second as we get some takeaways from today. Wow, really changing that perspective. I love how she started, though, is that we were coming from this idea of serving and always asking this question, am I being selfish? And to really think about that. Are you? The big answer she put right now is no, I'm not being selfish. And why? Let's go through the whys. Because number two, you were created on purpose. You were created for, am I really out? Am I deserving of all this? Yes, you are, and really discovering what is important to you. And which takes us to number 3 is really not looking at the past or the past expectations or the past dreams that you had, as they may not be current right now. Let's be in the right now with where you are as a mom and what those dreams are, because that leads us into number 4, is that we're purposely, consistently growing up with these. We're getting fresh expectations and dreams. What is the goal right now? And so you have that permission to do that. And so that gives us number 5, which is that flexibility and balance. That we are perfectly, deliciously imperfect, as I put it, but then how we talk about that rhythm of that balance and really giving that balance in between there and knowing that you are enough. Did I get everything, Jody? What's your final takeaway for everyone?
Great. I love it.
What's your takeaway for your final takeaway for us?
My final takeaway is just that reminding myself, even though I've experienced this journey and I'm on this path of discovering my purpose and I'm finding the joy in it and it's changing how I'm looking at my kids, constantly reminding myself that it's okay to fail and that through that failure, I will find the success that I ultimately need for my kids, for my children, my family, for myself and my own purpose. But I have to be willing to be flexible and give up the idea of being perfect.
Let's focus on that word flexible. And I will say this as we end. After my daughter went and took a shower after that night, she came down the stairs after they all left, took her shower. I was like, thank you for doing that. And that's what this is all about. How many more memories can we make for ourselves, for our kids, doing this all together? And thank you so much, Jodi, for joining us today. We'll see you all on the next episode. That's a wrap for today's episode, Mama. I hope you found something in these 15 minutes that sparked action towards your dreams. Remember, your purpose matters, your dreams are valid, and you are not alone. If today's conversation spoke to you, come join us at the Mama Genius Hub, where you'll find support, strategy, and sisterhood to turn your calling into real impact. Let's grow this together at connectingmamas.com. And before you go, don't forget to subscribe so you'll never miss an episode. If this resonates with you, share it with another mom here who needs to hear this. We'll see you next time.